Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make a very simple matching bikini top for our waffle stitch booty shorts. Since this is a summer set, I decided to create a very simple bikini top to match with it so that we can get a matching set. So due to the stretch of my yarn, I am going to categorize the sizing of this design into two sizes, like extra small to small, medium to large, XL to 2XL. And for this particular design, the tutorial I'm making is for the extra small, but I will be giving the different sizes as we go along. So for the materials, I used milk cotton yarn, and then I used a 4mm crochet hook, a darning needle, a pair of scissors, and a measuring tape. I don't have it here, but make sure you have a measuring tape in order to keep track of your measurements while working. So this is the stretch of the yarn that I am using, and if you happen to have a non-stretchy yarn, please go a size up because this one may not favor you, as it may turn out a little bit on the smaller side. So we are going to work two bra cups separately, and then we shall join them using these strings, as you can see here. So let's jump right into the video. All right, so to start off your bra cup, you're going to start off with a slip knot, and you're going to make a chain of 5, regardless of what size that you're making for. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So after your 5 chains, you're going to count to the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and into the 3rd chain, you're going to place a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's a double crochet in the US terms. And then double crochet once in each of the next two chains. So you'll have a total of 3 double crochets. The chain 2 at the beginning of the row doesn't count as a stitch. Keep that in mind. For this pattern, the chain 2 at the beginning of the row doesn't count as a stitch. So we are through with row 1. Row 2, you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work. Remember, the chain of 2 doesn't count as a stitch, and you're going to go into that very stitch with a total of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then after this, you're going to go into the next stitch with a front post double crochet. And then you're going to place 3 double crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And that marks the end of row 2. Remember, the chain 2 at the beginning of the row doesn't count as a stitch. That's why we haven't placed anything on top of the chain 2. So we are done with row 2. Row 3, we're going to make a chain of 2, which doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to turn your work, and then in the very first stitch, you're going to place 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And then you're going to go into the next stitch with a front post double crochet, front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, which is supposed to be the last stitch, and then 1 more double crochet into the same stitch to balance what we have at the beginning of the row. So we start with 2 double crochets into the first stitch and end with 2 double crochets into the last stitch. This is row 3. Row 4, we're going to do something quite different. We're going to start creating increases in the middle of the bra cup. So you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work. And then you're going to go into the very first stitch with 1 double crochet, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So this one and this one, you're going to place 1 double crochet into each of them, and then into the next front post double crochet, you're going to place 1 front post double crochet, And then into the same stitch on top of it, you're going to go in there with 2 double crochets. And then 1 front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous front post. So go back into the same stitch and place a front post double crochet there. And then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And then a front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets. So yarn over and go behind and go around the post of the same stitch, and then double crochet just like that. And then you're going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the last stitch. So this is what you should have for row 4. This is our increased row. So row 5 is a non-increased row. So you're going to make a chain of 2, turn your work, and then you're going to go into the same stitch with 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then a front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So this is the first one, and then into the next stitch a front post double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And this is the repeat for this row, row 5. 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet into the next. Front post in each of the next 2 stitches, and 1 double crochet into the next. So repeat that all the way across until you make it to the end of the row. So we've come to the end of the row. After the last 2 front post double crochets, you should be left with 2 stitches which get only 1 double crochet into each. So you end with 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. So that marks the end of row 5. Row 6 is still a non-increased row, and you're going to just make a chain of 2, turn your work, go into the same stitch with 1 double crochet, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. So that's the repeat for this row. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that all the way across until you have only 1 stitch left. Alright, so I'm placing a front post double crochet here, and I have only 1 stitch left, and that one gets 1 double crochet just like that. So we are going on to row 7. You're going to make a chain of 2 and turn your work. Row 7 is going to resemble row 5. So you just make a chain of 2, turn your work, 1 double crochet into the same stitch with the chain 2, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And the repeat for this row is 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. You're going to do that until you have only 2 stitches left. Alright, so after your 2 front post double crochets, you should be having 2 stitches left, and those ones will only get 1 double crochet into each. And that marks the end of row 7. We are going on to row 8, and row 8 is going to be an increased row, just like row 4. So row 8 starts with a chain of 2, turn your work. If you wish, if you don't want to just eyeball, make sure you always mark this middle stitch. You see that line that separates these two front post double crochets? That's the line along which we are going to increase. Always mark that line on the right side of the work that creates the waffle stitch. So when it comes to the increase rows, you'll know exactly where to increase. So this is row 8. You make your chain of 2 and turn, and then 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 1 front post double crochet into the next stitch. Then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and now we've reached the stitch with the stitch marker. You're going to remove it and then create an increase just like we did here. I'm going to demonstrate that process again. You're going to place a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then place 2 double crochets on top of that stitch which has gotten the front post double crochet. Place 2 double crochets on top of it, and then front post double crochet into the stitch with the previous front post double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch, front post double crochet in the stitch with the previous 2 front post double crochets. So go behind and place your front post double crochet, and this is going to create a fun like look, something with 3 front post double crochets. And then you're going to go into the next stitch with 2 double crochets, and then front post double crochet into the next stitch. Now you're going to make sure you always put back your stitch marker if you can't locate the increase spot, but you can just eyeball and make sure that this is the line along which you're going to increase. So you're going to go into the next 2 stitches with only 1 double crochet. All right, so we're coming to the end of this row, which is row 8, and I'm placing a front post double crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the last stitch. All right, so our next row is going to be a non-increase row. The next one is a non-increase row. The next 4 rows are going to be non-increase, then another increase row. So we're going to keep repeating rows 5 to 8 until this length at the base of our bra cup measures quarter of our bust measurement. So repeat rows 5 to 8 until this measurement right here is quarter of your bust circumference when slightly stretched. And I'll be recommending a number of rows in my next clip when I have my desired number of rows for the size small. Alright guys, I ended up repeating rows 5 to 8, but this time on this row that would have been resembling row 8, the row of increasing here, this time I haven't done any increase because at this point I had achieved quarter of my bust measurement when slightly stretched, which is 8 inches. But if you haven't yet achieved this, that means you're going to increase here on this row, because we increase every after 3 rows, and then the next row is of increases. But once you get that measurement, I'll be recommending a number of rows to do for yourself for the different sizes, but follow the measurements more because they'll give you a more accurate fitting. As you can see here, we have our 8 inches. And this row would have been a row of increase, but I have done a plain row that resembles row, I believe row 6, a row on the right side of the work without an increase here. So that's the change that you're going to do. And this is the very final row at the base of our bikini top. Once you get done here, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, pull through, and then you're going to do an identical piece to this one. So I already have mine here. I'm going to just make a chain of 1 and cut my yarn, pull through. So you should be having 2 identical bra cups, as you can see here. Same everything, same measurements. And then we're going to make straps. To do that, this time we're going to do something quite different. We're going to make a chain. Actually, let me just make a simple chain of about 200 chains. Alright, so I have my 200 chains. I'm going to make a chain of 1 and cut my yarn. And then I'm going to get my darning needle and I'm going to weave in this chain into the bottom row of the bra cups. So just place your bra cups like this and go in and out of every 2 stitches. Every 2 stitches. Okay. And then go onto the second bra cup and do the same exact thing, in and out of every 2 stitches. Okay, so you're going to pull on it. As you can see, this is a very small size, and you're going to go ahead and create straps at the top of the bikini top. You're going to turn your work like this so that you're facing the top, and then you're going to grab your yarn and your hook and make a chain of 100 on each top corner of the bra cup. Just attach your yarn at the top like this, single crochet into the same space and make your chain of 100. So I have my chain of 100. I'm going to make a chain of 1, cut my yarn, pull through, and I'm going to do the same exact process for the second bra cup. Okay, so we are done with our second strap. You're going to pull through and you're going to get rid of all the loose ends on your top, guys. Cut off all the loose ends. When it comes to weaving in tails, you're going to make sure you weave them in on the wrong side of your waffle stitch. So you can see this is the waffle stitch side. You're going to turn your bikini top to this side and then use a darning needle to weave in the tails. Make sure you don't weave it into your chain, because the chain won't be adjustable once you sew through it. Make sure you don't tamper with that chain. It has to be able to adjust. Your backups have to be able to move along that chain comfortably well without being blocked. So just turn your work to the wrong side and weave in your tails, just as I'm doing right now. So the fact that the waffle stitch is stretchy, I'm not worried about the fitting of this top. I know it will fit perfectly fine when worn on body. And if you have two loose ends at the same point, you can just go ahead and tie them together. And yeah, I guess all the loose ends are done. And that's how to make a simple bikini top of the waffle stitch that can match with our previous shorts. Make sure you check out the shorts tutorial. I'll be leaving the video on the screen so that you can have a matching set. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you did, and if you learned anything from this video, and let me know in the comment section how you found the tutorial, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.